Hey guys, it's Kelly. I am here at the Oak Cemetery here in Fort Smith, just a couple of miles from my work, downtown Fort Smith, and I came across Edna's grave, Edna Burns. I can't imagine the pain and suffering that she went through. She is buried next to Getty Burns. We're about to dive into the story of Miss Edna Burns. The intro gave you a little warning about this case, but I'm going to give you another one. Warning: the following presentation contains graphic details of a true crime case. Viewer discretion is advised. In January of 1958, Fort Smith, Arkansas was shocked by the events of a disturbed and sick man. They woke up to shocking and disturbing events on January 27th that has not been heard of, and frankly has not been heard of again. And whenever I was looking into this case, no one had heard about it from Fort Smith. I actually heard about this story from the tour guide at the No Mercy House. Whenever I went there to investigate, he had seen something on the wall and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's the Bobby Burns case." And I said, "What Bobby Burns case?" And so he went on to explain to me the history of the Bobby Burns case, which is what we're going to discuss now. As I started researching this, I asked several Fort Smith residents that had been here for years, that grew up here. None of them had heard of this. Let's dive in to see what we've been hiding. Bobby Burns was born to Jesse and Edna Burns on August 8th, 1929, and it seemed to be somewhat of a happy childhood, a very normal suburban childhood, nothing out of the ordinary. Bobby Burns lived with his mom on South L Street, just right off of Dodson Avenue. The house still sits at that location today. The exact house that the murder took place. It still sits here in Fort Smith. There's a family that lives in it right now. Their cars are all here, so I'm kind of nervous to go and knock on the door, but just know that this house still stands. At 28 years old, he was still living with his mother. He had piercing blue eyes and really dark hair and kind of a receding hairline. On September 13th, 1951, Bobby was arrested for grand larceny and burglary for breaking into Dr. Martin's car. Bobby had taken narcotics and medical supplies from the car. In 1953, Bobby was once again charged with breaking into a doctor's automobile that was parked at 2121 Wolf Lane. Once again, Bobby had stolen narcotics, syringes, and other medical supplies and was charged for a second time with grand larceny and burglary. After each arrest, Bobby was sent to the Little Rock State Hospital, but after 30 days, Edna convinced the doctors to release him into her care. One of the things that I read online that kind of pissed me off was that they had an incestuous relationship, and that's why Edna had fought so hard to get him out of that mental institution, and I totally disagree with this. I think this was just a mother's love, a mother's intuition that he was not going to be getting the care that he needed. Back then in 1958, they didn't know much of anything about mental health, issues at all. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and they didn't know what to do with that. They basically just locked you up, kept you there, and just tried to keep you away from society. There was no rehabilitation. There was no medicine that they knew of that was very effective at that time. And so in my opinion, she was just doing what she knew how to do as a mother to get him out of that situation and to take care of him herself. I don't think she knew how sick he really was. Being the mother of 4 children, I find it very hard to even imagine being in the position that Edna Burns was in, as it would be heartbreaking for any mother to walk away and leave a son at any age in a state hospital in the 1950s. According to an online database of archived articles in the 1950s, it is stated that 1 in 3 American families would admit a family member to a mental institution. Some 800,000 Americans were in institutions, and there were only 4,700 licensed psychiatrists. 1 in 3 American families. They also reported that only about 500 new psychiatrists were being trained each year, and at that time, mental illness affected 16% more people than cancer. Yet cancer received 400% more research than mental illness. Due to these six, most institutions were overcrowded, lacked the facilities, resources to treat their patients. They became much like a warehouse to hold society's misfits. Only in the mid-1950s did the first psychiatric medicines become widely used. Chlorpromazine, commonly known as Thorazine, was one of the leading drugs being used to treat schizophrenia and manic depression. It was said that Edna had tried to rehabilitate her son by reading him daily Bible verses in the morning, having morning Bible devotions, giving him his daily medicine that the state hospital prescribed, and he was not good about taking his medicine. It made him mad, and it is believed that they actually fought over this situation right before her death, right before he murdered her. On the night of Edna's murder, Bobby had drugged his mom with stolen narcotics that he had gotten from cars, houses around town, until she became incapacitated. He then decided to decapitate her, cut her head off. He cut her tongue out and put it in the toaster. He removed her nose and one of her eyes and put them on the stove and boiled them. And with her head, he put it in a pillow sack and proceeded to dismember the rest of her body. Bobby then walked out of the house. From his house on South L Street, he went to Garrison Avenue, carrying the head of his mother in this pillow sack until he reached Immaculate Conception Church, or known here in Fort Smith as IC. Once he reached the church, he placed the head in the vestibule of the church, and he left it there. He then left the church and walked down Garrison Avenue and crossed into Oklahoma by the way of the River Bridge. Bobby spent the rest of that day and night in the Moffat Bottoms, where the police located him. The decapitated head of Edna Burns was found by the students of IC Catholic Church and called the authorities immediately. During Bobby Burns' interrogation at the Fort Smith Police Department, he was snacking on candy, soda. His brother came in, gave him cigarettes, and basically said, "We don't blame you for what you did. We know that you're sick." He was then admitted to state mental institution in Little Rock once again, where he remained there until he died in 1980. He wrote to the judges, to the prosecuting attorneys several times, 3 times to be exact, really long letters trying to convince them to get him out of the state insane asylum, that he was fine, that he was rehabilitated, and each time they denied him, thank God. But he did try, and he thought that he was okay. I somehow get the feeling that Bobby Joe was someone seeking answers, but what were the questions in Bobby's mind? After the murder, Bobby stated that he was under directions from God when he took the life of his mother, and he referenced the book of Revelations 20:9-11. If you or someone you know suffer from substance abuse or mental health issues, please reach out for help. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know it was a hard one, but let's see if we can learn from this. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. If you have mental health issues, please ask someone for help. Go get the help that you need. Medicine's okay. Psychiatry's okay. Counseling is okay. There's that stigma that we hold that all of that stuff is wrong. It needs to go. We need to take care of our mental health. All of it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you liked it. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Craziness. I will see you again on Monday. Love you guys. Bye.